What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NFL top fives on FanDuel for week 11. Now, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Let me know in the comments section who is your favorite and least favorite of some of my contenders for this week. And finally, shout out to Jock Market for being the presenting sponsor of this video. Use the promo code Awesemo when signing up to get up to $50 on your first deposit. I almost said 100. It's actually 50. So if you deposit 50, they will match with 50. Now, rounding out the beginning of the defenses with the bunch of teams that we don't need to talk about, Carolina Panthers and Tennessee Titans are at the top of the heap. But who will be my top 5 tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks for this week? It's time to find out. We got a pretty clear top 2 options this week. So at number 5, we're talking Mike Gesicki, but he's only in the optimal 9% of the time. Not a lot of delineation here. 6,300 projected for 10 fantasy points. Miami taking on the New York Jets. They are 3.5-point favorites, 44.5-point total. It's the number 24 offense at PFF going up against the number 29 defense. So great matchup, I guess. 9% chance, though, for Gesicki to be in the optimal lineup. Nothing too crazy. Certainly works at this salary, but we have a couple better options individually. For example, we can take a look at Zach Ertz, 5K, projected for 8 fantasy points. Arizona, 2.5-point favorites, 48-point total against Seattle. This is the number 8 offense against the number 20 defense, so this feels like a pretty nice spot for Ertz. Not likely to go north of 25 fantasy points, but a 12% chance to be in the optimal. Zach Ertz just works if you're... Oh, that rhymed. I wasn't even trying to do that, but I'm pretty happy about it. If you're looking to buy a cheap touchdown, Zach Ertz looks pretty good. In at number 3 in an exceptional spot is George Kittle, 6,800, projected for 12 fantasy points. San Francisco is 6.5-point favorites with a 45-point total against the Jags. It's the number 17 offense, so basically the middle of the pack, going up against the number 24 defense. Excellent spot. 2% chance for Kittle to go for more than 25. 13% likelihood for him to be in the optimal. His price is sort of in like no man's land on FanDuel from a tight end perspective, but between this matchup against Jacksonville and his role for the 49ers, I would like to get myself some George Kittle. If you're looking for a ceiling, look no further than Travis Kelce, 7,300, projected for almost 14 fantasy points. Kansas City's taking on Dallas, 2.5-point favorites, 56-point total. Number 9 offense against the number 22 defense. Everything looks great here from a fantasy perspective. 4% likelihood to go for more than 25. 16% chance to be in the optimal lineup. I love Travis Kelce this week. This matchup against Dallas is superb, but he's not the number 1 tight end. That would be $6,700 Darren Waller, projected for 13 in a dream matchup. 50-point total in a coin flip game for the Raiders against the Bengals. Middle of the pack offense against the number 28 ranked defense. Yeah, that looks good. There's the ceiling here too. 4% chance to go for more than 25. 21% likelihood to be in the optimal. Darren Waller is my favorite tight end this week. Speaking of ceilings and Kansas City guys, $8,500 Tyreek Hill is in at number 5. Projected for 17 fantasy points. Dream matchup against Dallas. Not a great defense. Big time total. There's going to be a lot of fantasy scoring here. Now we'll talk ceilings. Almost a 20% chance that he goes for more than 25 fantasy points. Almost a 17% chance that he is in the optimal lineup. So you probably need 24 or so to jam him in. But at 8,500, I don't even mind paying that salary. Now, he is 5th, but there's not a huge gap between, say, him and 2nd place. Not going to take much to move him up this board, and he can totally transcend this slate. So I don't mind at all paying up for Tyreek Hill. You could also move to this mid-tier and go to $6,500 T. Higgins, projected for 13. Cincy taking on the Raiders. Coin flip game, 50-point total. Neutral matchup, number 12 offense, number 11 defense. 3% chance for Higgins to go for more than 25. So you're expecting that a little under once per season. 17% likelihood to be in the optimal. He just works for 6,500, and I think the matchup works well too. Now at number 3, we're heading to San Francisco for $7,600 Deebo Samuel, projected for 16. Great matchup against the Jags. Pairs well with George Kittle, 6.5-point favorites. You're not worried about the Jacksonville defense, which ranks 24th. Deebo's got some big play ability, can go for north of 25 fantasy points 11% of the time. You don't need that. 18% chance to be in the optimal means, anywhere in that like 20 to 22 range, and Deebo Samuel is going to be quite the asset on FanDuel. Another guy with a pretty sizable ceiling is $7,200 A.J. Brown, projected for 15, taking on Houston. Tennessee, 10-point favorites, 44-point total, so you're expecting Tennessee to score most of those points. This is the number 2 offense at PFF, going up against the number 31 defense, or the second worst. So it's 2 versus 2. It's just so happens that Houston's 2 is actually number 2. Poop. 9% chance to go for more than 25 fantasy points. 19.5% chance to be in the optimal. A.J. Brown does a lot. Gets himself to 2, but he's not number 1. Finally in at number 1, my favorite wide receiver of the week. No surprises here. Davante Adams, 8,400, projected for 18.5. Coin flip game against Minnesota for the Packers, 47-point total. Tough spot, though. Number 5 offense against the number 6 defense, but you don't really care about the spot when you're Davante Adams. 26% chance to go for more than 25. 24% chance to be in the optimal lineup. Adams drops 25 a quarter of the time. Every time he does it, he's likely in the optimal. Go ahead and get Davante Adams. Best spot of the week. 2 guys separate themselves from the pack at the top, but first we talk about number 5, Alex Collins, 5,600, projected for 11.5. Seattle, 2.5-point dogs, 48-point total. Coin flip matchup. Basically the same offense against the same defense. 2% chance to go for more than 25. 16% likelihood to be in the optimal. If you need to save a little bit of salary, there are certainly a lot of worse ways to do it than Alex Collins. Now, if you want to pay up in salary, $8,400 Dalvin Cook looking pretty good. Projected for 17 fantasy points, which is how often he's in an optimal lineup. Coin flip game against the Packers. They're 1-point dogs. It's the number 10 offense against the number 9 defense. So, pretty neutral matchup, all things considered. 21% chance to go for more than 25. 17% likelihood to be in the optimal. So you're looking for about 22 out of Dalvin Cook to say this worked out pretty well. I know 8,400 is a lot, but don't let it dissuade you. Cook's incredible, and he is number 4. In at number 3 is $7,200 James Conner. That's how good he looks this week. Projected for 16. They're 2.5-point favorites, 48-point total. Good matchup here. Number 8 offense against the number 20 defense. 12% chance to go for more than 25. That would be great. 19.5% chance to go into the optimal lineup. So you really only need about 20 out of Conner. He's most of the way there with his median projection. Just need a little bit of luck. That's what we're all looking for when we're playing DFS. 20% chance for James Conner to be in the optimal. That looks good. He's at 3rd. But 1 and 2 are on a different tier. We'll start with number 2. That's $7K A.J. Dillon filling in. Probably going to do a hell of a job for it. 17 fantasy point projection against Minnesota. It's the number 5 offense, the number 6 defense. We touched on that earlier for Adams. 15.5% chance to go for more than 25. And a 27% likelihood to be in the optimal lineup. He should look fantastic here in place of Aaron Jones. 27% is great, but it wasn't quite enough to get into the number 1 spot. That number 1 spot goes to $6,200 Myles Gaskin, projected for 14.5 fantasy points. Miami is taking on the Jets, and you just assume that Gaskin is going to get a lot of work throughout this entire game against a terrible Jets defense. 7.5% chance to go for more than 25, but you don't need that kind of ceiling out of Gaskin at 6,200. He is in the optimal lineup 28% of the time, which is more frequent than any other running back on the slate, and that makes him the number 1 contender. Now, before we finish it off with the quarterbacks, one last reminder, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter, and hop into the comment section to let me know who your favorite plays are this week. And don't forget to sign up at Jock Market using the promo code Awesemo. Nothing really interesting at quarterback here. It's pretty flat this week. Number 5 is Joe Burrow, 7,400, projected for 20, taking on the Raiders. Neutral matchup, 13% chance to go for more than 25, 8% chance of being in the optimal. So you're probably looking at needing, 28, 29 for Burrow to be that dude. That seems fine to me, but 8%, not all that different than 3rd or 4th, or honestly, like 7th. You can move these guys around pretty easily. The stacks matter most. I think they look pretty good for Burrow this week. At 4, we're looking at Jalen Hurts, and this is kind of a scary spot, but he still looks good because he does so much on his own. 7,700, projected for 21. It's a coin flip matchup, but a pretty low total, 43. Eagles offense, not very good. Saints defense, very good. Number 3 at PFF. 17% chance, though, that Jalen Hurts goes for more than 25 fantasy points. 8.5% likelihood, however, that he is in the optimal lineup. So you're going to need a lot more than 25 fantasy points, but not too many people on the slate have the ceiling that Hurts has because of his threat on the ground. But I'll tell you who does have a similar threat, and that's Josh Allen, 8,800, projected for 25 fantasy points. Buffalo taking on Indy. They're 7-point favorites, almost a 50-point total. It's the number 7 offense against the number 12 defense. 47% chance for Josh Allen to go for more than 25 fantasy points. But even still, you need a lot at 8,800. He's only in the optimal lineup 9% of the time. With that said, I am more than okay going to Josh Allen and any stacks that you can put together from Buffalo. You probably just need him to do something with Emmanuel Sanders, unlike the time that I had him and Sanders bageled. Ground threat after ground threat, and now we're in with probably the best one. Lamar Jackson, 8,400, projected for 24. Excellent spot. 5.5-point favorites. They're not the number 18 offense, but he's sort of all of the offense. 25th ranked defense for the Bears. Lamar should be in for a really nice spot. 40% chance to go for more than 25. 13% chance to be in the optimal. I think he looks fantastic, but he got edged out just slightly by my number 1 option. And that number 1 option is Pat Mahomes. He's 8,300, projected for 24. 2.5-point favorites, 56-point total. The number 9 offense, the number 22 defense. This is an amazing spot for Kansas City. There's going to be a ton of fantasy points, and you expect them to be started at the very least from Mahomes. 42% chance to go for more than 25. 14% chance to be in the optimal. Pat Mahomes is my number 1 quarterback on FanDuel this week. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NFL top 5s on FanDuel for week 11. It's going to be a fun one. I'm really excited for it. Good luck this Sunday. Keep your eyes peeled because I may have updates for you Sunday morning, and you don't want to miss them. I will be back again next Sunday for another edition of The Contenders.